Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up and what's going on? How are y'all doing today? And welcome back. It is Money Tuesday, my favorite day. Not really, Hump Day is my favorite day, but it is Money Tuesday, July 19th, 2022, 9 o'clock in the morning, team. And I am all set, ready to rock and roll. And I am ready to trade with the best trading community in the world. The Alpha Day Trading family. I'm looking at you. I'm talking about you. I love you all, and I'm excited to be here once again, and I'm excited to work with each and every one of you to make today an amazing day. So hit me with a big old good morning and happy Money Tuesday. And then, ladies and gentlemen, YouTubers, hit me with a good morning as well. Got Mr. Joey over there. Angela, what's up? Jack, Dave, Mo, what's going on? Jameson, Andrew. How we all doing today? All right, so I went ahead. I listened to you. For everybody inside of chat that was giving me a hard time the last week, saying, Josh, go back to the left. I want you on the left, right? Well, I'm just getting sick and tired of hearing you guys tell me to go to the left. So I'm on the left, or I'm on the right. And I'm joking. I'm not getting sick and tired of it, okay? I'm just giving you guys a hard time today. You caught Josh on a good day, all right? I'm ready to make it happen. I'm focused, and we're going to dive right into it. One speaker. We're going to have to deal with one speaker today, guys, right? No, I'm seriously joking. You caught me on one of these days. Everything that comes out of my mouth, I'm screwing around, okay? So don't take anything serious. I'm in a very blunt mood. Very just blunt. Love you all, but to the point. You just caught me on one of those, you're going to get it to the point kind of days, all right? So tough love. I love you all. Let's make it happen. How's it sound? Good? Is it better? Is that better, guys? All right, so I'm off to the right. So you guys are welcome. Yes, I'm talking to you. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm seriously joking. We're going to dive right into it. Again, I'm just busting some, you know what? I'm just giving you guys a hard time. All right, I love you all. I'm excited to be here, and we're just going to dive into it. We're not wasting any time. We're hitting it hard today. We are going to make it happen. All right, we're going to talk stocks, get you guys prepared, see where the opportunity is, and we're focused. We're trading. We're making it happen. I'm looking to break my red streak today, guys. I'm not here to just trade stocks. I'm not here to just be random and gamble. I'm here to take great setups and stay focused and not miss my opportunities. And if that means I see an opportunity at 9:15 in pre-market, I'm taking that 9:15 opportunity, and you guys can take it as well. And if that means we cannot finish our morning preparation session, that simply means we cannot finish our morning preparation session. If we see opportunity at 9:15, we're taking the opportunity. We're going to make it happen. All right? So, Corey, one person always ruins it for everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Nah, I'm kidding, because I love Corey. I love Corey. So, let's go ahead and dive into it, ladies and gentlemen. So, go ahead and start here inside the chat. If you guys want, I highly recommend this, team. I highly recommend this, that every single morning you guys are inside of the Morning Stock newsletter page. I publish this 2 times, okay? So, in the morning from about 7 to 7:55, I'm composing our preliminary Morning Stock newsletter. Every single stock with news, market data, again, everything that you need to get prepared from 8 to 8:45. At 8:45, I publish another version, and that's our final version of the Morning Stock newsletter. Again, it consists of every single stock with news. Okay, so these are going to be the top stocks that have news, incredible reasons to be moving for today. It's going to have a list of prior day movers, pre-market gappers, up gappers, down gappers, our large cap gappers, a market overview, largest short interest, our economic calendar, prior day top gainers, and earnings for the week. This is where you're going to start your morning. If you're not in here every day, you need to be in here every day. This is how you're going to start getting prepared in the morning. So when it comes 9 o'clock, you're following along. You're not just getting prepared at 9 o'clock. You are just following along to make sure you are already set, ready to rock and roll. So definitely, team, if you're inside a chat, just scroll on up, okay? Go click Morning Stock Newsletter. It's going to take you over here every single morning. You're going to see our Morning Stock Newsletter, and I put this together to get you guys prepared for the day. It doesn't take me 5 minutes to put this together. It takes me over an hour. There's a lot of work that goes into this, and I want to make sure that you guys are utilizing this. There's a lot of great information here. So make sure you are using this. Make sure you are taking the time to get prepared for the day. Give me 1 second real quick. Let me shut this blind. All right. We're all set. All right. So with that being said, go check out all of our stocks with news. All right. Go ahead and get prepared if you haven't done so yet. But with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into it. What do I see? And what am I looking at and why? All right. So a new stock that's just now popping on up is CYTO. All right. So CYTO wasn't moving here about 10 minutes ago. So what's going on with CYTO? Well, about 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, they dropped a press release announcing Semaphore platform shown particularly effective in intracellular mRNA delivery for keyword cancer therapy. So their platform is showing that's effective in the delivery of mRNA for cancer therapy. That's here on CYTO. Now, CYTO is 14 million in float, trading phenomenal volume compared to the average. Definitely, CYTO is meeting that criteria to be on our watch list. So, where could we see this stock go? Well, right here, I can see this low at 61 cents. We can see that we just broke above that daily low of around 62 cents here on our 5-minute time frame. We're pulling back and trying to hold that up as support. That just so happens to be our 50 SMA as well. So if we do hold above this 62 cent level, where could we see it go next? Well, we do have some potential up towards around 85 cents. I see potential towards around 91 to 92 cents. And then up towards around $1. Now, if CYTO ever breaks above $1, we do have room all the way towards around that 200 SMA at 119. So the stock just dropped a press release at 8:45 in regards to cancer therapy. Anytime we see a press release and a positive press release in regards to cancer, these stocks love to move. We have great volume. It's a low float stock. It's currently #1 on the leaderboard. Definitely going to be the top stock that we're watching right out of the gate. CYTO, one of our top stocks out of the gate. You're sitting right at support at this point in time. This could be a scale-in level. You just had your first initial impulse move to the upside from 50 cents to 72. This is your first healthy pullback, right? You could absolutely see your second impulse, your second leg up. Where could we see that second leg up to? Well, we have room to 85 cents. So you can go ahead and build a plan here on CYTO. Maybe put your stops below 60 cents. First target, high a day, and then 80 to 85 cents would be your second target on CYTO. Again, it has the volume, nice low float, has the news. This is your first pullback into a valid level of support. Again, there could be an opportunity for you guys right here, right now on CYTO. So definitely keep this on high watch. All right, moving on. What do we have going on next here? The other stock that I want to keep on watch besides CYTO is going to be STIM. So what's going on with STIM? Well, they get another FDA clearance for transactional magnetic stimulation system. Shares were up 22% on FDA clearance news, and that's here on STIM. This is a 24 million in float stock. Where did it go? Yep, 24 million in float, trading 9 million shares on average, 300,000. So it has that high relative volume that we want to see. Nice low float stock, decent press release on STIM. I still see potential down to $4.10 on STIM. So right now at this point in time, I will not touch this stock until we see it down towards around 410 support. Maybe we eventually get that bottom at 410, and then we see the break of the downtrend. That's going to bring the volume. That's where we're going to see that next leg on up. So I would personally sit back and wait for this to come down the 410 support, wait for it to bottom on out. We find that support at 410, and then we proceed to break this downtrend. That's when the volume is going to move back in. that's when we can see our next leg up. Now, where would that next leg up put us? Well, I would say right off this lower high here at 450, and then I would say back up towards around these highs, right around 484 to 485. So STIM, it's meeting the criteria to be a watch list worthy stock. It has the catalyst, it has the volume, it's a nice low float stock. It just needs to come closer to support, and that support level is 410. We want to see that support form. We want to see the stock bottom at or near that 410 level, then break the downtrend, because that's when we go from the bearish side of the downtrend to the bullish side. That's where traders start to step back in. That's where we see volume. That's where we can see the next leg up. We have our levels ready to go. Now we just need to be patient, but I like STIM. Number 2 that I will be watching right out of the gates. SIDU. Right, so SIDU from 283 to 383. Dropping a press release here right at 9 o'clock. Why is SIDU moving on up? Well, SIDU expands relationship and increases deliverables to Teledyne Technologies. So they're expanding their relationship and increasing their deliverables to Teledyne Technologies. This low float stock is currently up 24%. This is the lowest float stock on the leaderboard. SIDU, again, 6 million in float, currently up 24%. We are trading about 50% less than the average daily volume, but this is a former runner. The last time this stock gapped up, it had a pretty big day. Gapped up again, pretty big day. So the last time we saw this stock gap up, we actually saw a very nice day behind it, and we actually had a multi-day mover with SIDU. So let's get prepared. We know that this stock has potential. We know this stock has moved before in the past. Where could we see SIDU go? Well, first things first, we need to break over this little level of resistance here on the daily chart at 378. So 378 to $4 resistance here on SIDU. Then we can see this up towards around 472, but I'm actually going to bring that down a smidge. 472 is fantastic, but I want to bring it right down towards around this high as well. So here's what we're actually going to do on SIDU. We're going to give it ranges. All right, we're going to give it ranges of support and resistance. So I see as low as 450, which is that spiking high, but as high as these two upper shadows right around 474. So there's a window for your target between 450 and between 475. Between one of those levels in that gray box, that's a profit-taking level. Same thing when we come down and look at that spiking high right here, around 375, up towards around those lower shadows in psychological support resistance, which is $4. So again, $4 would be a key level. But again, we could see it right around these highs at 475. So that little gray box, that's your first level of resistance between 375 and $4. Anything over $4, your next level of resistance between 450 and 475. Anything over that 475, you have $5 psychological resistance. And then we'll go ahead and get prepared if we continue to see the stock move on up through that $5 level. We could technically see it all the way back up over $7 here on SIDU. Now, where's support? That's the $1 million question. Now we're prepared. We know how high the stock could go, but how low can the stock go? I would say 324, right? You have some bottoms here on the daily around 324, and it's right around your 20 EMA. So I'd say SIDU has support down around $3.24. All right. So with that being said, we're all set here on SIDU, $3.24. High day resistance up towards around $4. Anything over $4. Your second target is 450 to 475, and then up towards around $5 here on SIDU. SIDU is number 3. And that's it, guys. Just like that, we have our watch list for right out of the gate, right? We have CYTO, definitely a top stock to be watching, okay? We have STIM. As we can see, it's definitely a stock that we should be watching. And then SIDU is definitely a stock that we should be watching right out of the gate. Now, what about APLD? It looks disgusting. Look at that chart. Why would we want to watch it? WFG, right? Literally no volume, right? I don't want to watch it right now. USEA, right? Very sideways, very choppy. Don't really want to watch it. APLS, right? This stock has literally no volume towards it. Why do I want to watch it? My job, guys, is not to watch 10 stocks, right? I don't want to watch 10 stocks, 20 stocks. I want to focus on 1, 2, or 3, okay? So out of every single stock that I'm getting ready to list off, you tell me which ones look the best right now at this point in time, all right? So we have SKYX, one of yesterday's top gainers. It could definitely move today. VERU for the possible mid-candle breakout, right? You have APLS gapping up from 44 to 58. You have USEA, right? That is gapping up from 250 to 290. You have WFG from 85 to 107. You have APLD from 110 to 157. SIDU that we just discussed. STIM and CYTO we just discussed. Out of those 10 stocks that I just listed, okay, which ones visually look the best? Definitely CYTO, STIM, and SIDU. Visually look the best. So right out of the gate, I want to watch these 3 stocks right at 9:30 for that quick opportunity, right? Because this is where I think the best opportunity would be. They all have good press releases, nice low float stocks, great volume. There's a lot of potential, and there is a lot of reasoning to watch these stocks right out of the gate. But we do have some of these other stocks that need to be placed on our back burner, all right? Because these stocks could absolutely move today, right? If CYTO dumps, STIM dumps, and SIDU doesn't do anything, a lot of these stocks that we just discussed have great potential for today. So APLD has potential. They supplied a contract from MARA. So Applied Blockchain, APLD, securing a contract from Marathon Digital. There's a reason for APLD to be up 23%. We have good volume. It's a larger float, but this is definitely a stock that meets some of that criteria to be a watch list worthy stock. But is it a number 1 stock, 2 stock, or 3 stock to watch right at 9:30? It is not. So what do? Add it to the back burner. If it starts to get some action, if we see traders on the stock, then we take 5 minutes, get prepared, and then make it happen. Okay, WFG. What's going on with WFG? This stock is up 23%. All right, it's a 70 million in float stock. It's trading right at its average volume. Why is this stock moving on up here this morning? Well, they're moving higher following a report suggesting that CVC Capital and Chronospan are in a joint bid to acquire this company. So this is a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing, right? There is a rumor floating around that CVC Capital and Chronospan are in a joint bid to possibly acquire this company. We may see more press releases dropping. This is more of a buy the rumor, possibly sell the news. I think it's not really worth your time unless we see it really set on up. If we really see traders moving on in, if we really see that volume here on WFG. But again, this stock just ran from $85 to 107. Okay, yes, it's holding above 100, but it's barely trading any volume. If there are 100 traders in the market, where are the majority of traders? Are they all on WFG? No. Why? Because we don't have the volume. CYTO, this has a majority of traders. STIM, there's a good amount of traders here. SIDU, there are a good amount of traders here. We compare those 3 stocks to WFG just by volume alone. We can see that this stock doesn't have a majority of the focus. And until it does, we're going to add it to the back burner because there's better opportunity, in my opinion, right at 9:30. But you do want to watch this above $100. Okay, so $100 is your support level with 102.61 resistance. That's your all-time high is 102.61 here on WFG. You can see it back up to these highs right around that 107 level. So as long as you hold $100, you're good to go. You break back above 102.61, you could see a nice $4 spike to the upside. However, if you start falling back below 100, you have room down to $96 here on WFG. I just think it needs a little bit more volume. We definitely need to see more focus here on the stock before we focus on it as well. USEA, I just can't seem to get an edge on this stock. It seems to move a little bit here and there, but it's I don't know. It was a good mover last Friday, right? Last Friday, it was decent. Yesterday, not doing anything. Today, slightly gapping up, but very, very, very choppy here on USEA. So I'm not a fan of USEA, and it's trading well under that average volume. It's trading 4 million shares, and on average, trades 20 million. And it's a very choppy daily chart. It's a very choppy last couple of days. I think there's better opportunity. I think there is safer opportunity in the market. So USEA, it is a back burner play at this point in time just to see if this stock does indeed get some action. APLS is another stock that's moving on up today, guys. So why is APLS moving on up? Well, they received FDA acceptance. So they have FDA acceptance news here on APLS. Now, APLS is number 2 on the leaderboard. It's up 26%, but what stands out to me here? Right? It's a larger float stock, number 1. Number 2, the volume, right? Volume equals activity, and activity equals profit. We need volume for the stock to be active. And the stock needs to be active and consistent for us to be able to make profit. All right? So it's trading half of the average volume. Now, that could absolutely change here today. But at 9:30, is this the number 1 stock to be watching? I don't think so, right? Because it doesn't have 80% of the focus. It is not the best visually looking stock. I think right at 9:30, we have our top 3 stocks. These stocks that we just listed are definitely back burners. APLD has a reason to be moving today, but it just needs more focus. Back burner at this point in time. WFG has a reason to be moving today. It could be the number 1 stock, but it just needs more before we actually dive into it. USEA, back burner. APLS, back burner. Now, VERU, I am liking this stock as my number 1 back burner for the day. And the reason I like VERU as my number 1 back burner for the day is we have a potential mid-candle breakout here on VERU. So we saw Wednesday, nice big green day here on Wednesday, right? Nice big green day here on Wednesday. Thursday, we got our mid-candle setup. Friday, we exploded and we confirmed the mid-candle. Yesterday, we have another mid-candle setup. And we see here, we're starting to pick on up just a little bit here on VERU. Not to mention, yesterday, we had Friday $18 call sweeps near the ask. So we had some unusual volume, unusual options activity here on Friday's expiration. VERU $18 call sweeps near the ask. There's about a $30,000 investment for the August 11th. I do apologize. It's an August 11th expiration. Again, call sweeps near the ask. 300 of those calls for $100 each. Do the math. That's about what? $30,000 if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, $30,000. So it's not a crazy big investment, but we did see a pretty big investment move on in. And we do have this mid-candle breakout. And there's some potential here, guys. So I do like VERU as my number 1 back burner potential sleeper play of the day. You do have $16.19 support. Okay. $16.91 resistance, which was yesterday's open. And then you have room up towards around $17.35, which was yesterday's high. And then you have room all the way back up to $17.77. All right. So if you want to get involved, you need to see this breaking and staying above $16.91. Then you can see that nice move up towards around $17.35. Then $17.77. Potential mid-candle breakout opportunity here. Definitely looks good. My number 1 back burner sleeper play at this point in time that I will be watching throughout the day, guys. All right, so let's recap. We talked about a lot, but I want to get you guys prepared. I want you guys to go through my mental process, right? I look at 20, 30, 40 stocks every single day. Everything that we've discussed is currently on my watch list, but how am I dissecting my watch list at this point in time? Well, I'm trying to look at these 20 stocks, these 10 stocks that may have potential and find the 2 or 3 that have the best potential right at 9:30. I want to get focused on those 2 to 3 stocks. I really want to take my time to get prepared on those 2 to 3 stocks. Because if I see one of those stocks do what I think they can do and what I'm expecting that I'm prepared for, all I have to do is react. All I have to do is simply go ahead and type in my position that I built into a plan and click a buy button and look to make some profit right out of the gate at 9:30. So with that being said, I don't need to be looking at 20 stocks being distracted. I need to be looking at 2 or 3 stocks that I think have the best potential out of those 10 to 20 stocks. And out of those 10 stocks that we just discussed, CYTO looks fantastic. And this stock did exactly what we thought it was going to do. Hold above that 62, 63 cent level of support, back up towards highs. As long as you do stay above your entry, which was down there around 62 to 63 cents, and you do break above 73 cents, I see great potential to 80 and then 85 cents on CYTO. Great press release, low float stock, fantastic volume, clean and consistent chart. It visually looks nice. Definitely a top stock out of those other 10. Definitely one of our top stocks to watch. STIM, we've discussed it. Definitely one of our top stocks to be watching. 410 bottom support with current resistance at $4.50. Breaking over 450, we have room back up towards around those highs between 484 and 494. We need to break that downtrend first. Bottom support right now is down towards around 410. Number 2 that I think has the best potential for the day. And then SIDU above 324, we have room back up towards around those highs, and then $4 on SIDU. Out of those 10 stocks, those are my top 3 stocks that I think have some of the best potential for today. All right, let's talk about the SPY. As long as the SPY holds above 385.80, you have room to 388.35. If you see the SPY falling back below 385.80, you have room to this trend line here on the SPY. If the SPY ever cracks this trend line, watch for the SPY to come back down towards around yesterday's lows, right around the low 380s. All right, so once again, as long as the SPY is staying above 385.80, you can play calls to 388.35 and then 389.37. If you fall back down below 385.80, you have room to the trend line. If you ever crack the trend line, things could definitely get nasty, and you could see this back down in the low 380s here on the SPY. The Qs, as long as you're staying above 292.40, you do have great potential back up towards around 295 to 296 here on the Qs. Now, if the Qs fall back down below that 292.40 support, you can see this back into its trend line as well. It's not as clean as the SPY. The SPY is very clean, but you can still kind of see the resemblance with the Qs. You have a slight uptrend. You could see the Qs back down towards around that trend line, but the biggest target, the main target that'd be looking for would be a retest, potentially, of yesterday's lows, which on the Qs is 288.24. So right now, let's watch the Qs above that level of support, 292.40. As long as it holds that level, you have great potential into the 295s. The SPY, let's keep this one on watch, above 385.80. As long as we hold that level as support, we have great potential to 388.35. But right out of the gate, team, I'm watching CYTO. I'm watching STIM. I'm watching SIDU as my top 3 stocks at this point in time. My number 1 back burner sleeper play is going to be VERU for the mid-candle breakouts. Other back burner stocks that may have potential, we just need to see more traders and their focus shift to one of these stocks. But they have potential. They are on the back burner. APLS, back burner, USEA, WFG, and APLD, all back burners at this point in time, guys. Right? So with that being said, out of the gate, I'm going to personally be watching STIM as I see support down towards around 410. The market's open. We are all set, ready to rock and roll, team. Let's have some fun. Let's make it happen. And most importantly, let's lock in some amazing profits today, guys. You guys have it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. All right, guys. So Right now, STIM, definitely one of my top 3 stocks. I'm going to go ahead and throw a 3-minute time frame off to the side because I do like to get that higher time frame confirmation. But right now, out of the gate, we're going to throw this into a 1 minute. I still like the potential of this cracking on down towards around that 410 level and then bouncing. That would be amazing. But right now, we are trying to break this downtrend here at this point in time. But I do not want to be in this just yet. If SIDU breaks this downtrend off of 324 support, we have great potential back up to those highs, guys. So now SIDU has great potential as well. So top 2, SIDU and SITM right now at this point in time. So we are all set. Yeah, so the Morning Stock newsletter, Angela, is exclusive for members. Again, SIDU down towards around this 324 level. Doesn't look bad. And again, that's going to be a light level, right? Light level because it's just the 20 EMA. Better level is $3 here on SIDU. Right now, SIDU, looking to see if this thing could start breaking that downtrend here on SIDU. Came down towards around 324, looking to see if SIDU is going to start breaking that downtrend. There's 323. There's a bounce at 325. Now we're back up towards around 329 on the bid. Looking to see if it's going to get that dip buy down there at 324. Let's see if that's a dip buy opportunity at 324. There's 330, 331, trying to get some action here on SIDU. It's got to start bouncing back up here on the bids, well above 330. Not really bouncing the way I want it to bounce. So I tried to get the dip buy, but it wasn't the best fill right on that dip buy at 324. But I'm still curious to see if this bad boy can squeeze through that downtrend here and get some action to the upside. Again, 324 is that level of support here on SIDU. If it breaks the downtrend, this thing could really take on off. So right now, it needs to start pushing above 340, and that's really going to be that level where this thing could take on off. Came down to 324. Nice little dip buy opportunity at 324. Again, it was a late fill on my end. We were looking for that 324 to get hit. Quick bounce, and then an immediate follow-through through the break of the downtrend here on SIDU. Right now, not looking the best here on SIDU, right at 325. There's another little dip buy. This is the bounce that has to take place. This is where it has to bounce and break the downtrend. If it doesn't start breaking the downtrend here, it's most likely not going to break that downtrend. It needs to start squeezing for the break of the downtrend right here, right now, up over 340 to see this thing get going. Stops would have to be under that 324 level here on SIDU. There's 332, 333. Needs to start squeezing and breaking here on SIDU. Needs to start squeezing above the downtrend in 340 for this to work on out. If it falls back below 330, watch for this thing to really dump on off here on SIDU. There's 336, 335. Needs to start really picking on up here on SIDU over 340. This is where it needs to break. This is a must on SIDU. It must break here, guys, for this to be a great trade and work in our favor. How we're expecting this to work. Right off that 324 for the break of the downtrend. There's 338. Let's start squeezing here. There's 340. We do not want to see that selling pressure. I took half position off the table. I'm out. I'm out. It's going to dump. I don't like the price action. I'm out. Not a fan of that price action. At the break, it must break. When it struggles like that and you have hidden selling overhead, I don't trust it. I'm walking away. It's not worth the risk because we know these low float stocks can dump, right? This is the lowest float stock on the leaderboard. It's 6 million in float. We know it could rip $1 to the upside, but it could dump down to $3 as well. It came down 2 times to 324. Bounce, bounce. Attempted to break, good volume. Didn't break, nasty price action overhead. We saw that hidden selling. I don't trust it. I'm out. I'm walking away, looking for a better entry. Then right now we do have CYTO was a great trade there in pre-market. I got out with a market order. Again, right now, I'm not going to jump into SIDU just because it seems to be a little indecisive here at that 335, 340 level. And the second it cracks 324, it's going to dump, and I'm not going to be in that trade and watch it dump 20, 30 cents to the downside. CYTO was the best trade in pre-market with those stops below that 60-cent level, getting those entries right around 62 to 63 cents. Your first target was 73 cents. Your next target is 80 cents and then 85 cents here on CYTO. How's the SPY? SPY's really trying to hold above that 385.80, but there's a lot of indecision here on the SPY. Looking at the Qs, starting to fall back below 292.40 there on the Qs. So right now, I'm personally sitting on my hands. SIDU, I like it. I see the potential with SIDU. However, I wasn't a fan of that price action. If anything, CYTO looks to be the best at this point in time. Here on CYTO, looks to be the best at this point in time. So right now, CYTO has great potential for that high day break coming on up. Canceled buy for 4,900. What happened here on CYTO? $4,900. Why is it not filling me? Very odd. Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Makes sense. We're good. But yeah, right now, as long as CYTO holds this trend line, guys, we hold this VWAP, we start breaking 75 cents, this thing could take on off to 80 and then 85 cents here on CYTO. For some reason, I have to limit only here on CYTO. It's a limit only on CYTO. SIDU looks like it's going to start dumping on off here, guys, so be careful. Looks like it's going to start dumping on off on SIDU at this point in time. Okay, so be very careful, guys, with SIDU. Looks like it wants to start to crack that level of support. You got a lot of upper shadows, a lot of hidden selling. Definitely not a good-looking stock at this point in time. You got a nice little head and shoulders formation on Snowflake. We could see this down about 5 points on SNOW. And SNOW was another stock that I was watching today like a hawk. Here on Snowflake, definitely has some great potential here today on SNOW. CRWD was another one that had great potential, cracking the trend line, head and shoulders formation on the daily on CRWD. Same thing with SNOW, SNOW. Head and shoulders formation here on SNOW. Crack in the neckline could definitely be today, and we could see this down towards around 142 here on SNOW. Starting to see the crack lower here on the Qs, and SNOW is close to putting in a new low of day here. So if we get a new low of day, 142 is definitely realistic. We got a nice head and shoulders formation here on the daily chart with SNOW. We are starting to potentially crack below this 20 EMA as well. And if you just look at some of these prior day lows, 143.27, 141.50, these would be some targets. So you're looking down into the low 140s here on SNOW off this potential daily head and shoulders formation, starting to potentially crack the neckline here, which is that little trend line. And that could definitely get us down into, the low 140s here on SNOW. So CRWD, this one still has a little bit more time on CRWD, a little bit more time there. SNOW, I think looks fantastic, especially if we can see this flush below that 145 level here on SNOW. So let's see what we have coming on up with SNOW. CYTO starting to crack the trend line. SIDU is just not getting that action. APLD, push on up here a little bit. Getting a little bit of a pop here on APLD. How these others back burners? WFG, anything here? Not really. USEA, a little bit of a bear flag. APLS, nothing much. VERU, pulling back. SKYX, maybe a mid-candle breakup for tomorrow. So, yeah, right now, we're just looking for that head and shoulders crack on Snowflake. Again, looking for this to come down towards around 141, 142 on SNOW. Starting to see that crack on down here on SID, or I'm sorry, SNOW. A little bit of a crack on down. You guys can see I'm up like 140, 150, nothing crazy. I took a little bit of a loss there on that SIDU trade out of the gate. And right now, we're looking to see if we can get this one down into the 141, 142 target level on Snow. And we want to see the overall market pull back as well. So currently, have that short position on SNOW. Looking to see how low we can go. Trying to see if there's a better place to put my webcam so you guys can see the open P&L and stuff like that. It's pretty tough. I don't know where she's going. Maybe right there? There we go. Yeah, we'll put it right there. That's a good place for it. So we're really starting to see that drop on off here now over on SNOW. Maybe start scaling out here. What are the Qs doing at this point in time? The Qs still dropping. Qs are still dropping. We want the Qs to drop for sure. We are getting pretty close to my first target at 143.21, and I do expect to see a bounce there. Right around that 143.21. So let's see what happens over the next couple of moments. I want to see the Qs continue to get pulled down. I think the Qs have another 60 cents to the downside that could continue to pull down Snow. There we go. New low day on Snow. I would say back above 143.50. I'm going to just cover. But I want to see if we can keep dropping here. Down into my 141.50, 142 target level. Bids are now below 143, which is nice. There's 143.07. Let's see if we can get these sellers below 143. You got the Qs bouncing. That may cause Snow to bounce. Now you got the ask below 143. If we see the ask back above 143, I'm going to go ahead and cover here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and cover there on SNOW. 325. Quick little scalp there on SNOW off the daily head and shoulders formation. We did have a nice drawdown, about 3 points to the downside. I'm going to go ahead and take my 3 points a share. And that's going to put me slightly green on the day. And it's a nice reset from the SIDU position that did not work out, but it was a good time to get out. This will go ahead and allow me to reset for the day. And we do see the Qs bouncing a little bit as well. And the reason I took profits here on SNOW is, again, we just fell from around that 146 to 143. We just dropped 3 points to the downside. Don't you guys think it's a little overextended to the downside? Don't you think it's due for a possible bounce on back up before getting the next leg down? I would probably say yes. It's due for another little bounce on back up. I am not in CYTO at this point in time. See, this is the whole point of me having the scanners off to the other side for the P&L box. But I may just readjust the columns in the order. Yep, give me 1 second. Let me go ahead and configure this real quick. Here we go. Maybe that helps with the adjustment there. So we'll go ahead and switch that around. There we go. Now you guys can see it nice and beautiful, right? Nice and beautiful. Perfect. So as you guys can see, I have nothing unrealized. So when you see unrealized, that means I have an open position. Realized, that's a closed position. So you guys can see there's nothing unrealized. There's no open position based on the tickers off here to the right. Then you can see the realized. STIM. Yeah, quick spike on up and then drop right back down. Yeah, pennies have been, HKD just dropped $9. Oh, no. Oh no, traders absolutely getting destroyed that held that overnight. That's wild on HKD. APLD has room to 173, guys. APLD, if you break 157, you have room to 173. So if you start to break 157 here, you have potential to 173 on APLD. USEA has a bit of this bearish flag forming on USEA. Leg down, period of consolidation. Is USEA shortable? Let's see. USEA is short sale restriction. Probably could locate, but about APLS. Anything here? Again, no volume. VERU, nothing yet. SPY and the Qs. I mean, the SPY's still trying to hold above that 385.80, but the Qs right now down below that 292.40 level. The Qs have room down into the 291s. The SPY right now, it's a little indecisive. Little indecisive here on SPY and the Qs. Yeah, right now, pennies, there's definitely not a lot of good-looking pennies at this point in time. Can we look at all of these penny stocks? Again, look at STIM, very choppy and fading. CYTO, pretty choppy here and fading. It was a great trade in pre-market, but cracked the trend line. Now it's fading on off. SIDU, I don't trust it yet. Very choppy out of the gate. Very choppy price action. It needs to start breaking and proving itself before I even think about a position on SIDU, because right now it's just a little too choppy and inconsistent for me. So, SIDU, not a fan. APLD, again, not a fan. WFG, still kind of fading on light volume. USEA, bearish flag, not shortable. So there's no opportunity there. APLS just needs some volume. VERU and SKYX, those back burners, not doing too much. So I'm not really seeing too much right now at this point in time, team. Is there anything that you guys see at this point in time that you think has great potential? Because right now, not seeing too much. HKD is getting absolutely wrecked to the downside here on HKD. A little bit of a bounce. Now it's halted to the upside, but again, I don't really see a reason to be touching this right now. Definitely choppy for sure. So really, it's just about sitting back on those hands, guys. Sit back on those hands and just wait it out. Ride it out. Be patient. Got to sit back and be patient, guys. That's it. That's what we're doing. We're sitting back, being patient, waiting for the next best opportunity to come and present itself, guys. So right now, I don't want to keep sifting through stocks. Let's see if one stands out. See if anything just really stands out that has maybe some upcoming potential. If you guys see anything, let me know. But when I look at STIM at first glance, it just nothing stands out to me. I look at CYTO at first glance, nothing stands out to me. SIDU starting to get some action, but is this stock actually going to hold on up, or is this stock going to do what it's done? Try and break and then dump. Try and break and then dump. Try and break and then dump. Let's see. Is it actually going to break on out and continue the move? Or is it going to come right back down like we've already seen it do quite a few times? A lot of that hidden selling. Again, going through some of these top gainers that are on our watch list, you got some desperation from traders today. Why is that? You have LTR, PB. This one is on the Halt scanner, so it looks like traders are attempting to get this very, very low float stock going again. Again, we know that there's desperation when you have stocks like this moving. And no volume, no volume, no volume. No volume, no volume, no volume. ATIP could absolutely see like 135. That's going to be where you see some sellers moving on. And I would say 135, 137-ish. Give yourself a window, 135 to 140. A little bit of resistance, nothing too crazy, but I would say up towards around 155 on ATIP. Why is that? Look at how many times here recently we've come up towards around our 20 EMA and get rejected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different times in just the past, 60 days. We've hit this 20 EMA and it's come right back down. Nice little downtrend, 20 EMA resistance. So if we do break that 135, 140, we could absolutely see a nice little push up into the 155 region. But I would think it would get held down and then roll on back over and continue this potential little downtrend on ATIP. A great entry there at the 125s. EOSE's moving on up. EOSE with a nice break here today on the daily. Look at that, guys. Nice little 224 breakout on EOSE. That's a very nice looking trade, guys. If we can see a short-term pullback here intraday, close to that 225, I think that could be a solid little trade there on EOSE. I really do. And we would have some room up towards around 260. So nice break here over 225 daily resistance. Starting to see some great action here on EOSE. I would like to see it maybe come back down a little bit closer to that 225 level. I revisit it just briefly, get a nice entry, and then potentially have a nice trade up towards around that 260 level, which is pretty solid resistance. EOSE looks pretty good right now, in my opinion. So let's keep this one on high watch. I do like EOSE at this point in time. That's a great looking daily chart. We just need to see this pull back here intraday just a little bit. But EOSE, guys, looks fantastic. Beauty, yep, 295.05 to 295.30. They're on the Qs. Absolutely good stuff. It's crazy to me how random stocks just pop. Which one are you talking about? But yeah, it is crazy. It's like out of nowhere, boop. It's like the stock's doing nothing, it's dead, and then boop, nice little pop. You know what? When I think a random stock just pops, it always comes in my head. Pop, lock, and drop it. Because that's what we see. We see those random pops, and then they drop. And I always think of that song. Pop, lock, and drop it. Every time. So bad. It's random, very random, but I thought about sharing that with you guys. I thought maybe you would enjoy that. So I hope you enjoyed it. Now, I pretty much ruined everybody's day because everybody right now is like, dude, Josh, now I have pop, lock, and drop it stuck in my head. And I guarantee Beth is here doing the pop, lock, and drop it right now. She's like, oh, hell, she's pop, locking it, and dropping it. Now it's stuck in your head. Beth's over there dancing. I love it. So SIDU isn't bad, but there's that intuition feeling that I don't like it. I could be completely wrong, but when I look at a stock and I have that gut feeling of not liking it, I stay away. And when I look at SIDU, from a technical perspective, it looks like we're going to have that next leg up. Coming back to the 9 EMA and the VWAP, flagging after a nice volume break. I mean, the criteria is here, right? There's definitely a few reasons that suggest another leg to the upside. But there's that gut feeling that I have that says stay away. That says it's going to probably be a nice little rug pull. That is probably going to dump on off. Like, I don't trust it for some reason. So I'm going to listen to my gut and not take the trade. But we have a break over the VWAP. We're consolidating and pulling back into your VWAP, into the 9 EMA in a flag-like formation, meeting the criteria of a bullish flag. You could simply and safely put stops at 335. First target, 358. Second target, 375 to 383. You don't want to see it falling below the VWAP and the 9 EMA, okay? But again, you have a bullish flag above the 9 EMA and the VWAP. You have the 9 EMA and the VWAP holding this up as supports. It's meeting that nice criteria. You got a nice volume move to the upside. Nice, healthy, decreasing volume pullback during this consolidation. You are starting to see that 9 EMA cross above the VWAP, which can be considered bullish. But like I said, guys, there's just something about it that makes me personally want to stay away. But bull flags, where do you put stops? Underneath the consolidation low. So a bull flag would be underneath this consolidation low for a stop loss. That's right around 335 to 336. Your first target is the flag high at 358. And then your next targets would be these highs here from pre-market. CYTO right now just doesn't look all that great. Again, CYTO, I mean, you're at support. So if you're a traditional trader, if you're a traditional, maybe like a scale in, scale out type of trader, you're not looking to scalp quick moves, CYTO could be a trade because you're in a channel, right? So CYTO right now is simply in a channel. And what do I mean that the stock is currently in a channel? Well, let's go ahead and look at CYTO, right? Where's support at on CYTO? Well, support's right down here around 61 to 62 cents. Okay, so that's going to be your level of support. It's going to be right down there around 61 to 62 cents. Where's resistance? Right around 73.5 cents to 74 cents. So you're inside of this sideways channel between resistance and support. Resistance and support. This is the channel. You could literally look to buy off bottom channel support and sell at top channel resistance. If you're a traditional trader, this is where you could maybe like scale in 25%, right? If it starts to move on up, scaling it a little bit more at 25%, and then come on up, you know, resistance, maybe scale out 25% just in case it breaks. If not, you can scale out a little bit more. You could simply trade this sideways channel between support and resistance. If you crack below bottom channel support, your stop is out, right? You're stopped out. But as long as you hold support, you could slowly and steadily over the next maybe 20, 30, 40 minutes, grind all the way back up towards around top channel resistance. And that's where you'd be looking to lock in some profits. So right now you have a little bit of a sideways channel here on CYTO. Earnings tonight. What do we have? Netflix, right? We have Netflix earnings this afternoon, this evening. So my input for earnings is I don't really think, I mean, you got some other ones too, by the way, but really Netflix for tonight. What I think investors and traders are really looking for is not whether there's a miss or a beat, right? Obviously that matters, but I really think the focus is going to be on guidance. It's going to be what's their forward guidance? What's their guidance? I really think that's going to be the focus for investors and traders, and I think that will start to dictate where the markets are heading to next based on these big name earnings. Again, the miss and the beat definitely plays a factor, but I think a lot of the weight is going to be put on guidance. So when we're looking at Netflix after the close of the day, be looking at what their guidance is. Tesla and some of the airlines, look at what their guidance is, right? Then we have Thursday, like Snapchat. Look at what their guidance is. But again, the main ones I'm looking at this week, obviously you have the airlines. You have some telecommunication. You got Verizon, AT&T. You got some social. You got Snap and Twitter into the week. But we're really going to be looking at, like Tesla. And you got Netflix tonight, Tesla tomorrow night. And you have the airlines. You have American Thursday before the open. And then Thursday after the close, you're going to have Snapchat. And then Friday morning, you will have Twitter. But the main ones I'm looking at, where I was looking at J&J this morning, I'm looking at Netflix tonight. Tomorrow morning, you got NASDAQ reporting and Abbott. Tomorrow, you have Tesla and United. Thursday morning, you have AT&T and American. Thursday after the close, you have Snapchat and Capital One. I definitely want to be watching that. And then Friday, you have Verizon, American Express, and Twitter, and then regions as well. But the main ones, American Express, Verizon, and Twitter. But again, look at their guidance. Right now that we saw that drop on off and now it's curling, now SIDU looks decent. Right now, SIDU looks decent. Where would stops go? Right there at like 335. That's about 15 cents of risk. First target is about 10 cents away. Doesn't make sense. Can't trade it. Follow through with the Q calls. I hate the sideways. What do you mean by guidance for these stocks? So forward guidance, right? So forward guidance, basically what the company expects to do in the future. So what's their forward guidance? What can we expect Q3 from these companies? What can we expect Q4? What can we expect into the year? What are they expecting as far as revenue and profitability and subscribe? What's their guidance? What are they expecting to do in the future? And I think that's important because now they're starting to feel the interest rates, right? The rate hikes. You see a lot of these companies with a lot of these layoffs. The profitability is going down because inflation's going up. I mean, everything that we've gone through this year with the interest rate hikes and the inflation, supply chain issues, and cutting into some of these companies' profitability and all of these variables that we've been talking about. A lot of these companies are now here in Q2 starting to feel this pain and that pressure. And that may readjust what their outlook is, what their guidance is for, say, Q3 and Q4 into the year. And I think that's going to play a huge factor on what the market could be pricing in towards, into the year. So that's what I mean by guidance for these companies is what are they expecting to do in the future? What are they expecting to do here in Q3? Maybe Q4. But right now, we're going to get Q2 earnings from last quarter. We're going to start to see Q2 earnings here coming on up. Yeah, but with all that nasty price action, we got to really be patient here off this 410 level, guys. All right, so be very, very patient. off this 410 level with STIM because it's just very choppy and nasty to the downside. But still worth watching the 410 for sure, but really make sure it's a solid little entry. Make sure it's a solid level. Make sure it really builds that support on up with STIM. So right now, one last little scan on through our watch list. See if anything stands out to us, right? VERU, anything here? No. APLS, anything here right now? Not really. I mean, decent. It's okay. It's sitting sideways. There's definitely some potential here. Maybe you got this little cup and handle formation with resistance at 56.45, intraday bottom support down around 54.41, top resistance in pre-market at 58.44. So, not bad on APLS. It just needs a little bit more activity towards it. But it's definitely better than some of these other stocks that we've been looking at. USEA, anything here? No. Again, we're going to take SKYX off the watch list, VERU off the watch list. APLS doesn't look terrible. Breaking over 56.45. Your next target would be 58.44 and then $60 on APLS. WFG is just fading on off right now. APLD, not really doing too much. SIDU, there was something about it, kept me away from the trade. I don't trust these pennies right now. CYTU is inside of this channel, bottom channel support at 60 cents, with top channel resistance at 75 cents. So what you could do, what are you looking at? 22% to the upside, or about 13 cents. You could safely risk about 5 cents here. So I'm not saying this is your trade. Build a plan. But if you're buying off bottom channel support, you want to sell at top channel resistance, that's about 13 cents away. You could safely put stops about 4 to 5 cents away and have a nice little 3-to-1 setup here on CYTO. Expect this to be something that takes place over the course of maybe 30 minutes plus for it to get from the 60 back up to that 73 cent level, as this is a slow and steady mover. STIM is kind of fading. Yes, Spaz definitely hit that on the head for sure. So when we talk about like a stock that's curling, right? When I say, hey, this stock is curling, you have two types of, like Spaz said, curls. So when you see a stock, say, making a move on up and it starts to kind of curl like this, right? I don't like that. That shows weakness, right? It's that rainbow, right? It's a beautiful little rainbow, right? When it's curling and it's arching like that and it looks like a pretty little rainbow, that's a sign of weakness, right? That is a sign of weakness that we could usually see those drops on back down, right? When it's curling on over, when it's rolling on over, it's arching, or you have that rainbow, that's a sign of weakness, and you typically get those legs down. Just like when we see a stock, let's say, coming on down, right? It's fading and falling, and you start to see it kind of curling. And you start to see that little curl, right? Then those stocks really start picking on up. And they take on off sometimes. When you see that nice little U-shape, that U-shape formation, that curl on up, that's when you're starting to see some strength, starting to see some buyers step back in. We could start to see some action, maybe pick on up, get a little bit of momentum behind it. You're starting to see that curl and that U-shape back to the upside. That's a sign of strength. So U-shapes are a sign of strength. Upside down U-shapes, so ends, upside down U-shapes, the arch, the rainbow, that's a sign of weakness. I love shorting the rainbows. I love shorting those curl on overs. When a stock's rolling on over and curling on over and you see that weakness, I love grabbing a short when a stock's curling at a level of resistance, because 80% of the time, the floor just falls right on out. It just goes straight down. And I absolutely love those trades because your stops are really tight over resistance, and you typically get that just massive leg down instantaneously for a nice little profit. So again, you want to see the stock curling at a level of support, right? Start to come on down, find support, start to get that U shape, start to curl a little bit, and that's when you see, okay, that's some pretty good support, and we could start to see buyers really pick on up here and really start to step on in and get some action. You see how CYTO is kind of curling here a little bit? You see how it's coming down and you're starting to see a little bit of that curl, right? You're starting to kind of see that U shape kind of get put in here. It's starting to show you a little bit of strength, right? You're starting to see buyers stepping in a little bit more, and they're bidding higher. You're getting that little stair step action little by little, nothing too crazy. It's not too volatile, but you're starting to see that little bit of a curl here off that level of support, and that can be looked at as a sign of strength, that you could start to see buyers move back in and start to push that stock back to the upside. Again, I'm not seeing too much right now at this point in time, guys, like at all. I'd say look for a crack here on the SPY. I would say look for a possible little crack here coming on up on the SPY. And what could we do? Like maybe SPXU, SPXU. So that inverse ETF here, 1866. We start to see the SPY crack that trend line, a little bit of an ugly head and shoulders formation. Start to see maybe SPXU get a break of its downtrend. Nice little quick little rip on up. You probably get about, it's only like 10 cents of profit out of this thing. But you take a few thousand shares, you make a couple $100. You kind of got that little head and shoulders look to it, guys. I feel like I'm a little late to the trade, but let's see. SPXU, inverse ETF. Got about 10 cents of potential out of it. It's nice and cheap, so you probably get about 2,500 shares, 5,000 shares, give or take here, for the crack of the neckline, the crack of the trend line here on the SPY. A little bit of that head and shoulders formation. SPXU is the inverse ETF. So if the SPY starts dumping, SPXU will start popping on up. We could probably see about 10 cents out of SPXU. It's just not a lot. Just not a lot. 10 cents. Is there a better one? SPXS. SPXS. You get about 10 cents out of that. The other one, SDS, is another one. You get about 15 cents out of that. Yeah, but it's substantially more money. Yeah, SPXU. That's why I like trading TQs and SQs. You seem to get a little bit more juice out of those. Does the Qs get a little bit of that? No, the Qs are completely opposite than the SPY. Qs are more or less sitting sideways. The SPY looks like it may want to crack this trend line off of a potential head and shoulders formation. It may be worth giving it a go on SPXU if the SPY does start cracking on down here. The risk is nice and tight. You got about 3 to 4 cents of risk on the trade. You got to start to see that crack first here on the SPY. Not in yet. You want to start to see that crack on down before you jump into SPXU. And that crack on down, probably when we see the bids around 386.70, 386.80. But right now we're not in. It's got to actually crack on down first, because it is technically in an uptrend. Here's a high, here's a low. Higher high, higher low. Higher high, higher low. We could still technically put in a higher high. So what we need to do first is officially put in a, what? Lower high, and then crack this trend line. That's when we want to get short. Not before. but we want to wait for that lower high, then a crack of the trend line. Then we could see that lower low get put in and start that little short-term downtrend. It's definitely an ugly head and shoulders formation, but there's no reason to get in yet. We weren't even close to cracking below some of those lows. Like, we weren't even close to cracking the trend line, and we weren't even close to cracking some of these lows here. So there was no reason to get involved on that. We're just kind of sitting back now on our hands. Right, as you guys can see, there's nothing unrealized. I have 0 positions on the table right now. Probably new high a day here, maybe. There's a new high a day on the SPY. So here's the deal. If it ever breaks and cracks the trend line, you go short. It's that simple, right? Right now, you're on the bullish side of the trend line, right? The SPY is considered bullish. It's in an uptrend, okay? Don't trade against the trend. Trade with the trend. You ever see the trend crack? You see the trend line break, then go short. But right now, you have room to 388.35 next here on the SPY. So we got some time there, guys. We do have some time. It was a good short on Snowflake. Enjoyed it. STIM, not a fan of it. CYTO, I'm not a fan of these slow, steady movers. SIDU has been way too choppy for me today. WFG is falling. APLS is too slow. QQQ is sitting sideways and choppy. The SPY's in an uptrend. Do you guys see anything at this point in time? Anything that you see right now that really stands out to you? Right now, it's a day to sit on those hands, guys. I was looking for the day to be a nice, big day, but I'm not going to force it if it's not here. I'm not going to force it if it's not here at all. So it's all about sitting back, being patient. A little bit of divergence there. You can see some divergence being put in. You definitely overextended and overbought on the 5. What's that 3 look like? 3. You can see a little bit of that divergence, and you can see some intraday divergence on the 1 minute. It's not super strong, but you can see the divergence, right? You can see that consistent divergence as we're moving on up. RSI is moving lower. You know, eventually we could definitely crack the trend line and start that next leg down. I'm just watching the SPY. That's a negative Ghost Rider. So it's really just sitting on those hands, guys. Really just sitting on our hands, being patient. Being patient. There's not a lot of opportunity to really attack right now. It's slow. This is that time that you just got to sit back on your hands. Like, seriously, you just got to sit back and be patient, guys. There's nothing here to trade. Right now, again, SID is too inconsistent. Until it really proves itself, I'm not touching it. And the reason I'm not touching it is because there's just something about it that I don't like. It's that gut feeling. And I was correct with my gut feeling here. I was correct with not touching it. It looked good. The technicals were suggesting an entry. The technicals said, hey, take it long. Build a plan. Good risk reward. But there was something about it that I just don't like. And I still look at SIDU. There's something about it that I just don't like. It needs to prove itself a little bit better, a little bit more. Needs to clean itself up, needs to be more consistent, and actually see some strength. But that price action, when I look at this stock and I look at the price action is not good at all. And that's what's keeping me away from the stock right now. APLD just broke into a new high a day. So now you got APLD for a break and retest. So you just broke 157 resistance. Your retest would be at 157 now as support. You're on APLD, guys. So again, you got a nice little break and retest over 157. Definitely have potential up towards around 173 to 175 here on APLD at this point in time. Definitely one of our top stocks to watch. Compared to everything else, this is definitely one of those top stocks that we should be watching at this point in time. You see how CYTO is kind of curling a little bit? You see that U shape? You see that curl? That's a sign of strength. Stops must go under that channel support. So where is bottom channel support? Bottom channel support right here is at 60 cents. So you put a stop loss at 59 cents or 58 cents. If you want to give it some breathing room, give it some breathing room, right? When we were building this plan, the plan was an entry at 60 cents, which some of you guys may have got it. Your target was back up here at resistance. You're looking about 13 cents of profit. I said risk about 4 to 5. If you want to go about 3 cents, go 3 cents. You're risking about 5 cents or 5% to make 22%. That's a 4 to 1 setup. So if this does slowly and steadily get all the way back up towards top channel resistance, you're locking in a nice little 4 to 1 profit. And there's nothing wrong with ever scaling out too, by the way, guys. Just throwing that out there. You're like, Josh, do I have to hold it all the way to 73 cents? No. You could take a little bit off the table in pieces. If you have 10,000 shares, you could sell 1,000 shares right now. And it moves up another couple cents. And you take another 1,000 shares. And it moves up to 70 cents. You can take another 1,000 or 2,000 shares. And then it gets all the way up to 75 cents. And what do? You start really taking a lot of your profits off the table. You don't have to hold it all the way to your target. You're allowed to take profits along the way if you want to lock in profits along the way. That's the only stock right now that looks decent was CYTO. That's why I put my name behind it, because it actually looked decent. Not putting my name behind SIDU. I'm sorry. I'll apologize. I'm not doing that. I'm not putting my name behind this one because I don't trust it. I wouldn't trade it. And I'm not putting my name behind it for you guys. Right? The only one that I thought was decent, that looked good for you traditional traders, all right, that like those scale in, scale out, slow and steady, CYTO. That's it. Built a plan with you. You're all set. But I'm not putting my name behind SIDU at this point in time because I simply don't trust it. So right now, it's a slow day in the market. But guys, do you expect every single day to be hot? Do you expect every single day to be on fire? No. So let's do this. Let's stay productive. Do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or topics? Anything that you guys want to talk about? Anything that's important to you right now? Anything that you need help with? We can review some of your trades. You guys have any questions, comments? Again, let me know. This is a time that you can completely use me and abuse me. And one thing we don't get enough of here inside of chat is that abuse. You guys don't use me and abuse me. I know you all have questions. I know we have 100 people in chat right now, but we have 20 people talking. So that means 80 individuals are just sitting behind the scenes. You have to ask questions. You have to. You have a question, you have to ask it to get an answer, to get a response, to get the help and the education that you're paying for, that you need. That's how you're going to take the right steps in the right direction. When I see we have 100 plus people on the stream on the back end, we have 20 individuals speaking and talking. I know that 80 of you have questions. I know that for a fact. That at least one of the 80 have a question, that need some help, that need a trade reviewed. You need some personalized attention. And that's what I'm offering right now, some personal attention to help you level up your trading and take the next step in the right direction. This is your opportunity to use me and abuse me. But we get way too many individuals that do end up canceling their memberships, which it happens. But we never see that username in chat whatsoever. Not once did they say, hi, I'm new to the team. And they cancel. Of course, you have to speak up. You have to ask questions. I guarantee you have a question. No such thing as a stupid question. If you want to take the right steps in the right direction and you want to see more success, you have to take the next step. And that means maybe breaking out of your comfort zone, saying, hey, I'm new. First time saying hello. My name's John or Josh. Hey, I have this question. Could you answer it for me? That's the first step. I promise. You have to. I really want the SPY to start dumping around that 390. Yeah, I mean, the SPY for sure. You know, if we ever crack that trend line, I like SPXU, and we have maybe about 15 to 20 cents to the upside. What's a good rule of thumb when scaling in and out with like 1,000 shares? So another Steve, it really does come down to your personal preference. So a good rule of thumb is 25% increments. So if you have 1,000 shares, a good rule of thumb is 250 shares at a time. And another good rule of thumb that I use is, let's say, Steve, you are in a 2-to-1 setup. So let's say that you're looking to make 20 cents of profit and you're looking to risk 10 cents, right? That's a 2-to-1 setup. You're risking 10 cents to make 20 cents. So a good rule of thumb that I utilize is when I'm at a 1-to-1. So when I'm up 10 cents, right? I know I'm looking to make 20 cents and I'm risking 10 cents. But when I'm up 10 cents, that's a 1-to-1. I start scaling out at that point in time. I take 25% off the table. We get up to my 2-to-1 target. I take another 25 to 50%. If I want to leave a runner, every now and then, if the stock's super strong, I'll leave 50% as a runner. Or if the stock has potential, but I want to lock in a majority of my profit, I'll leave 25% of my position as a runner. So let's go ahead and do this. I love visual examples. So let's say you are looking to buy right here, right? Let's say this is $5. That's where you're looking to buy, right? And let's say that your stop loss is going to be right down here, about 10 cents away. So that's going to be $4.90, correct? And your first target is going to be 20 cents above, right? So your first target is going to be up here at $5.20. So you're buying right here, okay? You're risking 10 cents, 0.10. You're looking to make 20 cents, 0.20. That's a great setup, right? That is a 2-to-1 opportunity. That's fantastic. So when the stock, say, goes from your entry, and let's say it goes up, and you're plus 10 cents, right? You're risking 10 cents on the trade, and you're now plus 10 cents of profit. Your target is 20 cents, but you're up 10 cents. At this point in time, I would personally consider to lock in 25%. I would scale out 25% of my position, okay? And then I would continue to hold this trade and see what happens. Comes back down, yada, yada, comes on up, hits my target officially. I will then make a decision. At that point in time, I will say, how much do I like the stock? How strong is the stock? If the stock is super duper strong and I think it's going to break and continue to squeeze, I will then take another 25% of my position, leaving me with a 50% runner. And that 50% runner will have a stop loss of my cost basis. So my stop loss on that runner would be my cost basis, okay? If the stock is super hot, super strong, the market's on fire, and I think it's going to break and squeeze, and there's so much money on the table. But at that point in time, let's say I'm like, you know what? It has potential, but I'm not that confident in it. I want to get paid in these types of market conditions. Well, I'm not just going to lock in that 25%. I'm going to lock in that 50%. So at that point in time, I'm out 75%. I locked in 25% plus 10 cents. I locked in the other 50 cents in my position at my final target, 520. I'm out of my position by 75%, but I still think there's potential here on this stock, right? So I'm going to leave a runner, 25% runner, because it still has potential. I think we can see another leg up. Still, that runner is still going to have a hard stop at break even. So I'm not going to lose on this 25%. I can't lose on this 25%. My stop loss would be my cost basis on that 25% runner. That's how I scale out when I scale out in better market conditions. But you guys know me. I'm looking for a trade, and I'm looking for it to instantaneously go in my favor based on my expectations. And I go 100% in, and I get typically 100% out. I'm always 100% in. Every now and then I'll scale out if the stock continues the rip and run. But in this market, I'm 100% in, 100% out in these types of market conditions. Now, when the market is a little bit hotter, a little bit more consistent, and we see those continuations, I will scale out typically in 50% increments. We get up to my target, I'm out 50%. I'll hold the other 50% to see if it continues to rip and run. So that is a good rule of thumb. It doesn't matter if it's 1,000 shares or 10,000 shares. It really depends on what you're looking for, what you're trying to accomplish. What's your assessment of those market conditions? Are their market conditions hot and on fire or slow and choppy? If they're hot and on fire, you can scale out in 25% increments to continue to leave a good majority of your position on the table and always trail your stop loss up. Okay, always trail that stop loss up. But if the market's slow and choppy, you may just want to get out completely 100%. And that's okay. That's okay. Would you usually market in out for orders or preferably limit as it costs less on fees and less chance for slippage? So Alex, I personally will limit order in at times. I will limit order in because let's say I want to be in at 410. Let's say I break down this stock, SITM, right? And let's say I'm looking to nail this dip buy. Like I see this pre-market low. Let's say I see this pre-market low at 425. And I say to myself right now, if SITM opens and dumps to 425, I'm taking it for a dip buy. I can already set my limit order in at 425. So if it comes down to 425, I'm getting filled. Okay, I can limit order in, and I do save on the fees. I do provide liquidity to the market makers. So in exchange, I get a rebate, which could break me even on commissions and fees. So that's definitely a plus when I provide liquidity by buying or getting in with a limit order, especially, Alex, if this is the opportunity that I want. If this is a dip buy opportunity at 425 and I want to get into the penny, I will limit order into that. Absolutely. 100%. And there's some benefits there. The slippage, the rebate, less fees, etc. by providing that liquidity, right? And I already know if I get filled at 425, I want to be out at 420. So I will not limit out because let's say by the time I type in 420, stop loss, blah, blah, and it could be below 420. I will market order out of my positions all the time. That's just my personal preference. So I will try to get in on certain trades, like if it's a dip buy or a panic pop or this is where I'm getting in to the penny, I will look to get in with a limit order. If it's a to the penny trade, I have a little bit of time for this to work on out, and I can go in there and put a limit order in. But when I'm getting out of my positions, when I'm selling, I will sell with a market order just to guarantee that I'm getting out of that trade. Because we know how penny stocks can move. You blink your eyes and the stock's down 50 cents. You blink and say, hello, the stock's down 50 cents. So by time you put that limit order in and you're ready to go and you click sell, it could be past your limit order and you have to go readjust your price. It could still drop, readjust your price and still drop. And before you know it, it took you 3 different attempts to get out of that trade and you took an extra 50-cent loss. Or you can just click market right then and there and take a few cents of slippage. I personally like to get out with market orders. But when I'm getting in on certain strategies, limit orders. Not all the time, but most of the time. Jakey Lakey saying, I love the team. We love you, Jakey Lakey. Off to install the roof the rest of the day. Good luck. Take your green. Absolutely, Jake. Appreciate you showing up. Appreciate you being here, boss. And we'll see you a little bit later. See you tomorrow. Have a good one. So when the market is hotter, should you be green on your first 25% before you buy your next 25%? I see what you're saying, Steve. So now you're talking about scaling in, correct? So your first question is scaling in and out. Okay, and we were really talking about scaling out, Steve. So that example that I just gave you was only pertaining to scaling out of a position. We were not discussing scaling in to a position. Okay, so that was only scaling out. So now the question is, so when the market is hot, should you be green on your first 25% before you buy your next 25%? The answer would be, it depends. It depends. It doesn't have to be green, right? So for example, let's say I think 425 is a great level of support, but I also think 420 is a great level of support. And I also think 414 is a great level of support. And I also think 404 is a great level of support. And you're over here like, man, I love this stock. This stock has fantastic news. This stock, I think, is going to freaking rip today. This stock, I think, is going $2 to the upside, but I think it's going to pull back first. It could come down to 423 before ripping. It could come down to 413 before ripping, and it could even come down to $4 before ripping, but I'm convicted this stock is going to find support and move higher today. That's my conviction. I believe that we will find a bottom at one of these levels of support. We will find a bottom, we will move higher, and we will break those pre-market highs, and we will see $6. I'm convicted. The market's hot. I like this opportunity. Build a plan around these levels. Build a plan around these levels. All you have to do is say, okay, I want to take 1,000 shares, for example. And then what you do is say, okay, if I buy 250 shares here at 423, I buy 250 shares at 413, if I buy 250 shares at 404, and if I buy 250 shares at $4, that means I would have 1,000 shares, but what's my cost basis? You can do the math real quick, right? Add up all of these numbers and divide it by 4. So you can build a plan around this. So like, right, so I'm going to scale in 25% increments. So that's 250 shares at each one of these levels. But I need to get an idea of what my cost basis is, so I have an idea of what my stop loss is. So you can go $4.23 plus $4.13 plus $4.04 plus $4. Divide that by 4, okay? And that's going to give you a nice cost basis right around this little blue line. So now you know if you take 250 shares at each one of those levels, 250, 250, 250, 250, when you have your full position in and you have that 1,000 shares, you know your cost basis is going to be 411 based on that plan. So based on that 411 cost basis at 1,000 shares, now you can say, where's my stop loss going to go? Right? Where are my targets? And if I scale out here and here and here, what's going to be my expected profits and returns? Okay, just a little bit of math, right? Just doing a little bit of math to get an idea of what your cost basis will be if you're scaling in at certain levels and if you're scaling out at certain levels as far as how your cost basis will adjust. It just takes a little bit of math there. But with that being said, to answer your question straight up, the trade doesn't necessarily have to be green before you scale in your other 25%, right? As long as you have a plan built and you know exactly what the outcome is going to be. It doesn't matter how you're getting in and how you're getting out. It doesn't matter if it's green or red. All that matters is you have a plan built to do something. And if you do that perfectly, this is the outcome. It's that simple. Here's my plan. This is what I want to do on this trade. And if I do this perfectly, exactly how I have it written up, okay, I know what the outcome is going to be if I get stopped out or if I take profit. Can you accept this outcome? Is this an outcome that you're okay with? And if the answer is yes, you're going to simply react and go ahead and proceed with your trade plan that you just built. That was a great question, Steve. Great question. Now, does that answer your question, Steve? Scaling in, scaling out. Does that answer your question on scaling in, scaling out? Did you get a little bit more than what you were thinking there for the scale in, scale out? If not, I'll be more than happy to explain again. I'll be more than happy to help you out. I think we start to get that short here on the SPY, guys. I do think we're getting very, very close and ready for that possible short. We're right at 388.35 resistance. We have clear divergence at this point in time. The divergence is much more cleaner. It's very clear here. We are starting to see that possible double top right at resistance with a very steep uptrend that we could definitely start to crack below. So SPXU, guys. SPXU. Looking for a long, as that's the inverse ETF. Stops would be about 5 cents away. So we're looking probably about 5 cents of risk to get about 10 cents of reward on that long. Probably take 5,000 to 7,500 shares here on SPXS as we're looking for the SPY to start cracking on down here. The double top on the SPY, possible double bottom on SPXU. The SPY would need to start cracking below maybe like 388.05. Maybe below 388.05. Definitely seeing this great low risk, high reward opportunity. Low risk, high reward here. It's very low risk because I'm risking maybe 5 cents at most. And if this fully drops on back down, that could potentially be 30 cents to the upside. It could be. Now, I want to look at the Qs really quick. The Qs have something similar? No. The Qs don't have anything similar. I'd like to see the SPY and the Qs both. I know that it's different, but I would like to see the SPY and the Qs both looking like a good short. And here's the thing. I don't see a great short on the Qs just yet, but the short on the SPY is here. I'd like to see both the SPY and the Qs looking like a good short. But right now, when we look at the Qs, we don't really see a clear short right now at this point in time, which is making me kind of like waiting it out a little bit longer here on the SPY. I'm going to just maybe wait it out just a smidge longer, be a little bit more patient, tighten my stops a little bit more, reduce my position maybe. Again, I'm actively thinking these things in the moment of how do I want to move forward with this trade. Right now, guys, any other questions? The market is slow, and some would say the market's boring. These are the days that you dive into our video lessons library. Like, seriously, if you haven't seen all of the lessons in the video lessons library, this is the day that you come inside of the video lessons library and you study up over 110 videos in the video lessons library. Come in here, study up, study up. Make it happen, ladies and gentlemen. All right, come inside that video lessons library. And again, like I said, study up, make it happen. Use your time wisely. That could be recapping your last couple of days of trading. That could be building your plan for the rest of this week. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to make happen? Maybe you want to go back and watch yesterday's live stream. Maybe you want to go back and watch last week's streams or prior streams. Again, use your time wisely. There's definitely something that you guys can be doing inside a chat when the market's just a little bit on the slower side, right? A little bit on the slower side. Yep, and that's all I'm doing as well, is just looking to see where the SPY is going to top on out at. So the next area would be yesterday's high a day. We were looking at yesterday's open. Now we're looking at yesterday's high a day, which is right around, high a day is 389.09. Go ahead and look through our up gappers. NCNA. Do we have anything with NCNA? Not really. GRNQ. No volume. EOSE. Light volume. SIDU. Slow and steady. In my opinion, more or less on the choppier side up until about 10:15. I know we saw a nice rip from around 330 into those 380s. My style of trading is scalping. I haven't really seen a lot of scalping opportunities on SIDU. You're more of a traditional trader? Yeah, you had some opportunities on SIDU, just like CYTO. You're more of a traditional trader. CYTO is your type of trade. The slow and steady, maybe scale in, scale out, something that you manage 15, 30 minutes, an hour, trail your stops up. Again, depends on your style of trading. I scalp volatility, low floats, quick moves in price. That's my way of trading. Again, if you're a more laid-back traditional trader, today is your market. Today is your day. CYTO, great opportunity for you. SIDU, really nice opportunity for you here on SIDU. APLD, you had your break and retest over 157, but you haven't really done too much. You broke over 157, hit that high at 167. The break and retest was around 1030, back down at 157, but you only bounced about 5 to 6 cents on APLD. Again, I'm looking for 20, 30, 40 cent moves. That's what I want to see. A stock that can move maybe 30, 40, 50 cents quickly. And when I look at a lot of these penny stocks, EOSE, right? We're moving maybe 4 to 5 cents, right? It's not enough for me, personally. I want to see something that can move a little bit more. STIM, it's not really moving for me, right? It's not really moving the way I need it to move for me to trade the best. CYTO, it's too slow and steady, maybe 2, 3, 4 cents here and there. SIDU, right? Maybe little 10, 15, 20 cent pops. I want to find some 20, 30, 40 cents, something that could really get some quick movement and some quick action. And right now, I'm just, again, not super loving SIDU, which, again, I'm just not going to look to trade it. I'm not a fan of it. However, support team is going to be back down towards around this 354 level, and you do have a nice little trend line here on SIDU. So watch this around your VWAP. VWAP could be support right around this 354 level, as well as your trend line with top resistance here right at that 377-ish level. Breaking over 377 here on SIDU, you do have potential to $4. EOSE got to our target of 264, but it never pulled back low enough into the 220s. And that's what we have. CYTO, you're up to speed. You have a plan. There's potential. SIDU, you're up to speed. You have a plan. There's potential. But team, I say the key takeaway here is kind of what Corey said as well. Market is tough today. I agree. I don't like the price action. I don't like it either. Right? It's a little slow and choppy. I'm not a fan of the way the markets are moving. Based on my style and my personality and how I like to trade and how I succeed as a trader. So what am I going to do? I'm not going to force the trades. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm going to sit back and preserve my capital. I'm up $80. I'm going to take my $80 and run. Right? If I see great opportunity and I see a trade and I see a setup, I will absolutely look to attack it. we will absolutely look to lock in some amazing profits. But right now, I'm not seeing that type of action, that type of movement, that type of opportunity that really gets me fired up, honed in, dialed in, ready to attack. I feel like I would be forcing something that is simply not there, and I'm not here to force trades. I'm here to sit back and wait for these trades to come to me. And right now, I don't have any trades at this time really coming to me. So with that being said, any final questions, comments, please let me know. As you guys know, this is a odd week for me. We just literally moved on Friday. All right, guys. So much stuff to do in such a little amount of time. It's absolutely insane. So as I told you guys last week, the move will be done. We'll be back in chat, ready to rock and roll. But if the market's slow, I'll be taking additional time to get just settled in. The last thing I want to do is continue to walk out of here at 5, 6 o'clock. Be like, man, there's just so much to do and I'm drained. So I'm going to take the time that I have when the market's slow to really just get everything taken care of and really settled in. All right, guys. So if the market is slow, I highly recommend diving to that video lessons library. I highly recommend getting out of the office and doing something else, right? Go sit outside, read a book, journal your trades, listen to an educational podcast, do something productive, get in the right mindset. But I would highly, highly recommend you don't sit here and just stare at charts and try and force something that's not here just to take an unnecessary loss and wish you would have walked away when you had the opportunity. All right, so that's what I recommend. That's what I would do if I were you. Because I am personally going to get out of the office. I'm going to start unpacking some boxes and try and get settled in to feel a little bit more comfortable over the next coming days. All right. Josh, what website shows the chart patterns that you were showing yesterday? So that was Google, Steve. That was Google. All right. So I literally typed in the chart pattern on Google and I went to Google Images, my friend. So that is where I found the rising wedge. I typed in rising wedge on Google, and that's where it took us, was to Google Images. We're not here to gamble, guys, right? We're not here to gamble. We're here to come in, identify opportunities, and lock in profits if the opportunity is there. And today we had some decent opportunity, and that's that. But I do want to stick around for a few more seconds, and the reason for that is we could see our short coming on up here on the SPY. Right? We could see that short coming on up here on the SPY, guys. So let's see. It is in an uptrend. The last thing I want anybody doing is trading against the trend, but it kind of looks exhausted. It's very overextended. It looks a little exhausted. It looks like it may be due for a nice little downtrend. I'm not saying it's going to just absolutely tank. I mean, I would love to see just the drop. Just that tank. It tank straight down. I would love to see that. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think there is an opportunity for possibly a quick scalp here on the SPY, back down into the lower high here. I think that's definitely a realistic target, 388.31. So I'm talking maybe you get grab about 50 cents out of this, 60 cents out of this at most. Again, it's a scalp. And then we're looking at SPXU, and that would put us up towards around 1846. About 5 cents, 6 cents. Again, I want something that can move a little bit more. 20, 30, 40 cents. So that's a tough one. Do we have anything yet on the Qs that stand out? Because if we see something here on the Qs, I would love SQQQ, because I know SQQQ would give me that 40 to 50 cents. And that's what I want, a nice little 40, 50 cent opportunity. So right now, the cues, where were we gathering that level of resistance from? The resistance would be right around 295.76. What's that high right there? 295.65. Very close. You got a little bit more. I think you got maybe 50 cents more here before you may see it roll on over. Really comes down to the SPY cracking that trend line. You got some very clear divergence here. Very clear divergence here on the SPY. So if we do indeed get a strong rejection off that 389.08, and we see divergence here on the SPY, and then we proceed to fall below that lower high, right, or that higher high, and then we crack the trend line, that is one of my go-to short positions, right? We have some bearish divergence, possible reversal here, followed by a crack of this trend line for the next leg down, but it's still pretty strong. I haven't taken a trade yet because it's still pretty strong. It would have to come slamming. It'd have to just slam right back down below that 389.08 level and then pull back through and crack the trend line. Seeing that divergence, that would give us a false breakout back down below that resistance level. That could be a decent little opportunity, but it's very strong here. It's very strong here. And the last thing you want to do is be chasing against the trend, right? You do not want to chase against the trend. Right now, it is still squeezing to the upside. This thing could do this slow, steady grind all day up to that 50 SMA. So right now, we still have another about 2 points technically to the upside. We could see this just slow and steady and make this just this grind all the way up towards around that 50 SMA, which is still another 2 points away. And right now, we haven't gotten our confirmation, right, for a trade. We have not gotten our confirmation for a short. So there's no reason to get in at all. All right, final questions before we head out. I honestly think the more we sit here, the more we're going to try and justify a trade. What do you guys think? That's how I feel right now. I feel that the more we sit here and look at the SPY, the more justification we're going to have. Like, we're going to justify a trade. We're going to take it, get squeezed or chopped out, and like, man, why do we take the trade? Why do we just not walk away? I'm telling you guys, trading's all about patience. Sitting back, waiting for the trade to come to you. Do you really think we're allowing the trade to come to us, or do you think there's more of that? Let's try to force the trade. Let's see if it comes back down and cracks again. I just feel like there's more justification here. The stock's in an uptrend, right? We've seen this story unfold before. We've seen this time and time again. We think it's going to roll over. We think it's going to drop. We think it's going to roll over. We think it's going to drop. There's bearish divergence, the trend line, the crack, but it just does this all day. How many times have we seen that? A lot. Where we're like, this is the point, it's going to reverse. This is the point, it's going to reverse. This is the point, it's going to reverse. It's going to crack the trend line. It's going to dump. Here's our short. Everybody's so excited. We're so ready. We watched it for over an hour, and we finally got that divergence crack of the trend line off a level of resistance. It comes down, it cracks the trend line, and it does this. And you're like, what the heck? What is going on here? And it does that all freaking day. We've seen this a lot. This may just be one of those light volume, slow and steady little grinds that never actually cracks and reverses and drops the way that we think it can and the way that we want it to. That's what I think is justification, trying to justify this short. So right now, I'm not trying to do that. I'm looking for the best of the best trades and the best of the best setups. I'm not looking to just jump in and try and force a trade. Last scan on through EOSC. Do we have anything here? No. CRWD, anything here? No. Snow, not really. PFE, no. STIM, no. CYTO. Again, if you guys are traditional traders, this is a plan that we built maybe an hour ago. It's not really doing too much. SIDU, it's just choppy, guys. I don't know how to explain it. It's just a little too on the messy, choppier, sideways, not the best price action side of the spectrum, which really makes me not like it. It really makes me not like it. So if you have a specific question, like, hey, Josh, where's support resistance? Where could we see it go? I'm in this at 320. Let me know. I'll break it down. But right now, fresh trade, fresh entry. I don't see it. WFG, no. APLS, no. The Qs and the SPY, we just discussed this. My perspective is I feel like it's more or less justification at this point. Justifying why we're going to be getting in, taking a trade. When we've seen this time and time again, where it looks great, you get the divergence, the market looks at you and says, what do you mean short? What do you mean divergence, Josh? We're just going to continue this slow, steady grind to the upside throughout the day. So that being said, if you have any questions, let me know, team. We are diving out of here relatively early today. I will be back here this afternoon. Like I promised you yesterday, I will be back here this afternoon for Power Hour to see what we have in store. And if we don't have anything, we'll end our day and we'll come back tomorrow, see what we have, ready to rock and roll, guys. So any final questions, please let me know. If not, guys, today's a perfect day to get out of the office, to disconnect, and to use this time wisely inside of that video lessons library, recapping your trades. Again, team, staying productive, doing what you guys know you should be doing. Not really in the market right now. Waiting to see what we have this afternoon, and we'll be all set, ready to rock. All right, guys. Have a good lunch. Any questions, let me know. I'll be in and out of the office periodically throughout the day. And make sure you guys are taken care of. All right, enjoy your lunch. I'll see you back here right around 2:30 as we kick off some Power Hour commentary. See what we have in store. Come prepared with your questions, with your topic. We'll get those questions answered. Again, we'll drop those educational bombs that we always try to do. I appreciate you guys' understanding and patience with this being I need some time to take care of some other things, right? As you guys know, a move can be stressful, and then after the move, getting everything unboxed is pretty stressful as well. So appreciate you guys' understanding. Good thing the market is slow. It worked out perfectly. Enjoy your lunch. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you guys back here right around 2:30 as we hit it on the head, as we try to see if there's any opportunity to make it happen, to lock in some money, guys. All right, so let's end it the way we always end it. In 3, in 2, in 1. Woo! Good job and good work, traders. I'll see you guys back here right around 2:30. Take care, guys.
Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. I know time loves me like he used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to.